Hey everyone, my name is Sebastian. My gamer tag is Rising Underdog, and I'm making this video about Prominence Poker. I apologize about the audio. When I recorded it, I initially wanted to do this live, but I don't know what it is, but I don't think my internet is strong enough to do this live because the audio quality and the mic quality is just not, the sound quality is just not that good when I do it live. So I needed to record it separately. I try and do my best for the sound quality, but anyway. Uh, the main point of this video is that I would like to create a video as to what I think is going on in Prominence. And if you look at the title of the video, it's basically my theory as to what the card generation is about. As you know, traditionally in poker, I think real poker is a little bit different from Prominence, and I think despite what people think about the game being rigged and all that discussion, I don't think it is. But it's not that I think that Prominence is the same as real life poker or like poker outside of Prominence. I do think there's a difference, and not just based on how people play, but also based on the card generation. And I have a theory as to what's going on, which I've noticed that is consistent with what I'm thinking. And it has to do with percentages. So, like, everything in poker has to do with percentages. If you think about it, like the percentage to hit a flush, the percentage to hit a straight, the percentage to hit a trips, it's all based on percentages. And people could look at poker and look at pot odds and expected value and look at all these percentages, study their opponents, and based on the percentages of winning hands and based on what percentages of what they're likely, what their opponents are likely to do, you take all that together and basically come up with a decision as to what to do. And that's how you make profit. It's all to do with percentages, and maybe people don't realize this, but it's in the end that's what it's all about. The percentage of what your opponent is likely to do and the percentage of you likely winning the hand by either outdrawing them or just basically flopping a better hand or just having a better starting hand. There's percentages about what you could potentially start with and then fold the rest, and percentages of what you could potentially draw to, and so on. So everything is based off percentage. And what I think is going on based on the difference between Prominence poker and real poker outside of Prominence, or basically real life poker, is that the percentages are skewed in Prominence. So I'll just say it frankly, I think Prominence favors low cards. If you kind of want to skip around to this video and get to the point, basically the key takeaway is, as you'll notice, a board like this, which is 7, 8, 9 ace, it tends to favor low cards. And there's more I could get into besides just that simple statement. But I'll say this. So based on the percentages of basically drawing to certain hands, if you think about it, if the game favors low cards, that's going to skew the percentages, right? If you think about it, so like let's say you have a pocket pair that's a low pocket pair. If the game favors low cards, the percentage of you hitting a set should technically be the same if you have any pocket pair in real poker. But in Prominence, since like all these cards are low, like look at this, 5, 7, 8, 9, it's all low cards. If it tends to favor low cards, you may think that, yes, actually you would be correct to think that if you have I believe 9 is the threshold here, so I'll get into that later. But if you have a pocket pair anywhere from 9 and below, you'll have a more likely chance of hitting a set than if you have a pocket pair 10 and above. And actually, there's another part of this theory that I think if you have a pocket pair of kings and aces, you'll have a more likely chance of hitting a set than if you had a pocket pair of queens, jacks, or tens. So like, without convoluting everything and trying to explain everything all at once, let me just break it down. So I'll come up with 3 points basically in this. Everything has to be seen over a large sample size, of course. You can't just make an assumption. When you're dealing with percentages, you have to measure this over a large sample size and see the average or the median or however you want to see it, the average. So basically I'm going to say 3 points that I've noticed about Prominence, and observe it for yourself and take away what you will. So point number 1, if there's a high card above a 9, now I mean high card, anything 9 or above a 9, I'm going to use 9 as the threshold. And there's one high card above a 9 and 2 low cards below a 9. The first point of my theory is this, is that 65% of the time there'll be a card either 9 or below. Now, obviously for the 9 itself, since if there's a 9 on the board, for instance, it'll block the 9, so keep that in mind. So any blockers, you have to take that into account. But generally speaking, if you have a high card, like any card above a 9 and 2 low cards, two low cards below a 9, then it'll generally favor the low cards, anything from 9 and below, about 65% of the time, or more, actually. Maybe even 68 or 68% of the time, which is a little scary if you think about it, but that's probably how I think that's how they designed the game. It could even be 70%. We don't know. I mean, if you don't believe me, look at this. It favors 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that just coincidence? I mean, I'm glad they included this in Prominence. I mean, I find that this timing is pretty good while I'm talking about this. It favors all low cards. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know it is just one sample, but if you look at it on a consistent basis and you'll look at that, does it really favor low cards? And just think about that simple advice. You'll notice that it's probably true. Or it is. I mean, I'm just going to flat out say it is, but you have to notice it for yourself to believe it, I suppose. Okay, so point number 2. What else do I believe about this game? I believe that... okay, so here's the thing. This is a little bit more complex, but it's not really. If there's 3 low cards on the board, okay, so like I already said that if there's 1 high card and 2 low cards, 65% of the time it's going to be another low card. But if it's 3 low cards on the board, what do you think is going to happen? I actually believe that 60% of the time, it's going to be another low card. Now, that's strange, right? Because usually in poker, you're covering the whole board and you're not favoring it by 60%. You're favoring it 50%, and it's just complete 50-50, whether it's high or low, it doesn't matter. But in Prominence, my bold statement here is that 60% of the time, which is not tremendous, is going to favor another low card if it has 3 low cards on the board. So if you're sitting there with pocket kings or pocket aces and think, yeah, I'm golden, trust me. Well, trust me. You know, like, I think, again, 60% of the time it may favor another low card. Now, point number 3. This is very simple. It tends to favor a king and an ace over 10 jack queen. That's more simple to understand. So it'll tend to put a king and an ace, and again, look at this timing. 2 kings and a 3 and a 10. I know, again, we're just looking at one sample size, right? But again, this is I know you would have to look at this from a large sample size to truly verify this, but again, based on my observations, it tends to favor king and ace over 10 jack queen. That's another observation. And so those are the 3. The rest of it, I don't know for sure. But actually, there's some things I could assume. One thing I assume in Prominence, which I have a strong inclination to believe, is that your starting hand is not determined randomly. This is something I can't really know for certain, but I think what's happening is that the cards get passed around on the table. This is harder to know because we don't see the cards of our opponents. But I have a feeling that the cards get passed around the table, and if you're getting consistently low cards or really offsuit cards, then actually it could be because the cards that get passed around the table from one player to the next or 2 seats over or something is not in your favor. So you may have to go to a different position at the table to take advantage of a different dealership of the cards or distribution of them. It's not based on 2 random cards, I think. I think it's based on how the cards get distributed among the table from one player to the next, which is a weird thing to believe, but that is much harder to prove. So I'm just gonna state that, but that's a true theory. I haven't confirmed that because I don't know what the other players hold, but that's something for. Just take my. I don't know if you want to take my word for it, but you may actually experiment with that. But yeah, I truly don't believe that the 2 cards you first get in Prominence are completely random. I think it's based off card distribution, like among players, like going from one player to the next, maybe 2 seats over, so it's not that obvious. Anyway, that's maybe point number 4. But that one is a little bit theoretical. We don't know that one for sure. That one's a little bit questionable. But the one that I know more, that I'm more confident about, which you can see here, is 9 deuce 5 is going to favor a low card. Again, timing is pretty good on this video because I'm recording this after the fact, right? So it's like I had to do it for the sound quality, where I was basically captured the video with the sound and I record my voice over it. If I try to do everything live, it just sound quality is terrible. So I don't want to make a really poor quality sound video, so I'm going to do it this way. But everything I'm saying is still valid, even if I'm recording it after the fact. I'm not, I'm being full transparent here. But we'll just see what happens. So I'm trying to time this so that my prediction times with the video. But honestly, like, what my 3 points that I'm making are there regardless of what happens, right? Point number 1. High card, 2 low cards, 65% chance is going to be low. Point number 2, 3 low cards, 60% chance is going to be low. Point number 3, tends to favor king and ace. Now we have an ace. Okay, we have 6-3. It's probably going to favor another low card. Again, it's always going to, it's not always, but 65% of the time, or maybe even more, it's going to favor another low card. So anything from 9 and below. One thing I've also noticed, now this is a little bit, again, the timing's pretty good on this, but this is pretty good, where it's like, I think 6s, for whatever reason, or a 6 or a 9, tend to come out a little bit more often than the other cards. So, like, for example, if you have a pocket pair of 6s, generally your chance of hitting a set is likely a little higher than the other pocket pairs. Now, that's going to be hard to prove. That's a little far-fetched, I know. But, again, it's based on what I'm seeing. I mean, it's based on observation. I'm not... I mean, it's hard to separate sometimes stipulation from observation and estimation and theory and all that. But, I mean, I don't believe in, like, certain things about prominence, about it. I don't think it has anything to do with the clothing. I don't think it has anything to do with the table items. I don't think any of that is relevant. I think it has all to do with the card generator. It's all to do with the card generator. It has nothing to do with anything else. Basically, my theory is this, that if it's, again, like 9 is the threshold. So if it's cards above a 9, I mean, that's another thing I don't know for certain, because that part I haven't proved. But, like, here's the situation. Again, the timing is pretty good. So you have King Jack 4. So what's going to happen? I don't know, actually. I don't know what's going to happen. You have 2 high cards and 1 low card. Maybe, but the thing is, it seems like it doesn't favor high cards. So it's probably going to be low again. Because in general, from what I've noticed, the game at most will put 2 high cards on the board. Again, that's maybe point number, I don't even know, 5 maybe? Is that usually at most, it usually will put 2 high cards on the board. And what I mean by hard card is anything above a 9. So what you'll notice is that if it's putting, like, let's say a king and a jack, the chance of a queen, an ace, or a 10 coming is a lot more slim than anything from 9 and below. That's point... I don't know if that's point number 6 or the same point number 5, but anyway. That's another observation I made. And I'm trying to make this as clear as possible to understand, because I know sometimes I talk about this and maybe it's not clear for people, but I'm trying to make this simple and just state out what I believe rather than using careful words like it may be, perhaps, and so on, and basically sounding like a politician. So I'm going to state what I think is going on. And we'll just prove it. We'll set it out to the test. So here it happened where there was a queen on the river. Now, I think honestly, like, that happened to be a queen on the river. Now, I think it's less likely for that to happen. So it was more likely to happen that there was going to be a card below a 9. But that doesn't mean that's guaranteed, because we're dealing with percentages, remember? So, if there's a queen on the river, there's still a chance, maybe a 45% chance, or maybe slightly greater, hopefully. But I'm thinking there's a 45% chance or greater, hopefully closer to 50% as it should be, that queen is going to come on the river. But I don't think it's at 50%. I think my point is here is that, hopefully this is still easy to understand, is that if it's basically... let's say 2 high cards and 1 low card, 9 being the threshold, that it's still more likely to favor a low card by 65%, and 45% of the time it's gonna show as a high card, as another high card. Hopefully that's very clear. That's my theory when it comes to Prominence Poker. I don't actually think the game is rigged, but if you consider what I'm saying, it's definitely skewed, which would be a lot more accurate to say. I don't believe this game sets... Well, maybe it does set people up. I don't know. That's another stipulation or assumption people may have, where like it usually will give like something like, I don't know, pocket kings to somebody and pocket aces to somebody else, if somebody has pocket queens, if somebody has pocket kings or aces. I don't see that happen as often. Sometimes it happens, but what tends to happen is that what I've been saying so far in this video is that 9 being the threshold, and you'll notice sometimes also that the 9 tends to come out extremely often. Like, I think the 9 is the card that tends to come out the most. From what I've noticed, the 9 tends to come out the most, and the reason for that is because it's right in the middle. So it shares the high card and it shares the low card. It has a double % chance of hitting high and hitting low. So if 9 is the threshold, if you think about it, anything from deuce to ace, sorry, deuce, not deuce to ace, deuce to 8 has a certain % chance of hitting, let's say 65%. 9 will be more than that, so probably like, I don't know, I'm assuming, like, I don't even know, like 70%, let's say, because it's more than 45. And the chance... No, I'm getting mixed up. Sorry, this is the part I got mixed up. All the low cards from deuce to 8 have a 65% chance of hitting. The 9 has probably a higher chance of hitting because it shares the high cards as well. And the high cards from like 10 to ace have a 45% chance of hitting in the game. That's based off my theory. Again, it like, in order to see this in action, you'll have to basically play the game and maybe watch this video a few times and take all my points into consideration. But we'll just see here. So here we have deuce, king, ace. I don't know what's going to happen on the turn and river, but my feeling is that it's going to be probably a card below a 9. 9 or below. Because again, the game tends to favor low cards. So it's probably going to be 9 and below. It doesn't tend to favor 10, jack, queen. So if you have a gut shot, you're probably not going to hit it. Yeah, so it has a 6, and again, I don't want to say correct, but my what I predicted happened, which take that with a grain of salt, I guess. And now it's 50-50. Now it is that there's 2 high cards and 2 low cards. The chance of the card on the river being either high or low is 50-50, and that's probably point number 7, which is something else you could take away from the video. If by the time it's the turn, if it's 2 high cards on the flop and 2 low cards on the flop and turn, or what, it doesn't matter where they are positioned. So between the flop and turn, if it's 2 high cards above a 9 and 2 low cards below a 9, then you don't know what's going to happen on the river. It's going to be 50-50. That's basically the last point I'm trying to make about this video. That's as clear as I can make it. I'm hoping that that's very clear for people to understand. I feel like this is true based on my observation, based on the tendencies that happen in this game. So far, what we've seen is that I've been mostly correct, or pretty much. I don't know. Again, it's correct is not the right word, but what happened was what was likely to happen happened. So the percentage that I'm claiming, that 65% of the time it's gonna be this, what I claimed was likely to happen happened in this video. It doesn't prove it 100%, but again, what I say is likely to happen happens, and it's based off a percentage that I don't know what that specific percentage is. So again, queen 6 7. Again, it's likely going to be 9 or below. 2 low cards, 1 high card. Again, in this scenario, it's likely going to be 9 and below. And if we see a turn card, you'll see that'll be the case. So if we see a turn card, hopefully we do see a turn card. Have to take a breath here because I've been talking pretty quick. Okay, so hopefully it'll be 9 and below. But I think that 65% of the time it will be. Okay, so it's a 7. Now, the fact is, like, even though the 7 blocks the other 7, the fact is, well, I don't know. I don't like to use fact because, again, this is based off theory. But again, because it's the 9 and below theory, again, you have the 8 on the river. Even if the 7 blocks the other 7, the part that skews in the game is the fact that it's 9 and below, and it skews the outcomes of the cards, which basically puts the 7 on the turn and the 8 on the river. So again, it, like, in general, speaking generally, like, if you just want to take one thing very simple away from this video and don't want to get into the details of it, just remember that in general, from a very, very general perspective, Prominence tends to favor low cards. So all those tight players that are waiting for ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, jack queen, king jack, queen king, that's traditionally, that's good poker to be waiting for those cards. But in Prominence, unfortunately, the game favors, well, I don't know. I say unfortunately because I don't like that it does that, but it tends to favor low cards. So I think the reason they did this in Prominence, and I'm assuming now that my theory is correct. If it is, that'd be something. But anyway, if that's the case, that it does favor low cards, how do I say this? As you have seen in this video, then you may have to change your style, basically, because waiting for premium pocket hands all the time may not be the right style of play for Prominence. I mean, yes, generally speaking, that's the way you should be playing poker, but in Prominence, it's a little bit more like, since it favors low cards, even if you have overcards, you have to be wary of the fact that it just generally favors low cards. So that's just something you have to consider in your percentages. I hope that's enough footage and it's clear for everyone to understand. I'm gonna end the video here, and I hope that this video helps the community rather than harms it. I believe in being transparent, in sharing knowledge, and I consider this knowledge, but again, for now it's just a theory. But I do strongly believe it's true, personally, based on what I'm seeing. Again, 3, 6, 7, 9. Based on what you're seeing in this video alone, you may conclude that it's true, but you could use a larger sample size if you want. Again, the simple takeaway is that Prominence favors low cards, anything from 9 and below. The 9 will come out very often on the board, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and cheers everyone. I hope this helps.